Very good afternoon to all of you, and hope you all had a great morning. Welcome to SCLAA and Whispir first webinar together for this year. My name is Rakesh Bandipelli, and I'm the Director for Utilise division. A bit of more about SCLAA, Supply Chain and Logistics Association of Australia, which is the largest network of supply chain professionals in the country. We run events such as networking nights, thought leadership, and site visits, including webinars like this. Firstly, a huge thank you to our national partner Whispir in coordinating such a brilliant webinar together, which is all about customer feedback and satisfaction. But more importantly, I would like to thank you to all the participants who have taken the time to register and attend these sessions, which give us immense inspiration to organize more events like this in the future. So over to you, Corey.
Thanks, Rakesh. Hi, everybody. As Rakesh said, my name's Corey Weeks. I look after strategic partnerships in Australia and New Zealand for Whispir, and we've loved to share some of our insights from our customers, and old and new, and hopefully a few new ones after this, just around their experiences around customer satisfaction. So what we're going to cover off today in this webinar is we're going to share some stories around customer satisfaction expectations and what's changed over the recent times. We're going to show you a bit about how Whispir has been working with customers across the logistics and supply chain to meet those rising challenges. We'll show you a couple of demonstrations of what a good experience of customer satisfaction looks like, and how you can turn that survey form and positive experience into winning loyalty, either from a brand loyalty, but also winning new customers as well. And then we'll show you what a negative experience and how to action that negative experience and try and turn that back into a win back. And then we'll have some Q&A time, and we'll wrap up the webinar and leave you with some of our contact information. So Rakesh, how about we get going? What we've noticed is, and everyone talks about a pre-COVID and a post-COVID time, but if you extend that over, say, the last 10 years or so, with the rise of technology, what that's meant is that we've had a rise in expectation. We're all consumers. Rakesh, you're a consumer. I'm a consumer in everyday life, and we've got now 30, 40, 50, sometimes 100 apps on our phone. And what this technology has done is that we've been able to create a more on-demand, more visible experience. So some of the scenarios, if you're using any taxi apps, be it Uber, you can see all the information of where the driver is. Any food delivery apps, you can see where your rider is and how quickly everything's come through. On the flip side, we've also got TV and streaming on demand, so we can see everything. We get choices of how quickly we want to consume that information. And what that's meant is that expectation is also transferred across to brand experience of when you purchase something and check out online, right through to that delivery component. So some of the information up on screen here just talks about the surveys of supply chain businesses and how they're trying to meet those demands. And some of them, as you can see here, are struggling with some of that to be able to keep up with that changing consumer customer demand. And also probably the point on the right-hand side is that word of mouth, if there is a negative experience, it does travel faster than what a positive experience is. So it's quite important to try and meet those demands and stay ahead of the curve. Rakesh?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, most definitely, Corey. And as much as COVID definitely feels ages ago, but it's only 3 years ago, and it's still very relevant, I believe, in terms of how fast forwarded COVID enabled us to use more technology, and it definitely pushed a lot of non-technical users to use technology more, rely on technology more. And exactly to your point, there's like probably more extra 20, 30 apps. But again, consumers believe and they give space on your phone if there is value out of those apps as well. So, and I think you're to a point as well, the customer expectation as well is just ever growing. And it could be from a market point of view, the customer demand doesn't differ from industry to another industry from an end customer point of view. It's just a product. So if they're expecting Uber to show up and show all the tracking, they're expecting exactly the same service with their next purchase, regardless of it's an insurance company or it's a hotel booking, or it could be product you buy online. The expectation is already set way too high for other companies to catch up on. So it's ever growing, and it's only going to grow further. So, and then lastly, yeah, definitely the negative experience spreads a lot faster than the positive one, and then you hear a lot more about the negative experience if something goes wrong. And that's where things do always not go as planned in logistics, and there's always ways to improve and get things better, and then improve on customer satisfaction.
We'll show you a couple of demonstrations today, and hopefully they can lead to some more positive outcomes. Firstly, the next part is just who is Whispir. So we'll tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. Whispir is a software as a service. We're a SaaS company. We're about 21 years old. We're an Australian-based company. We're listed on the ASX. We have operations across Asia Pacific, also operations in America. So our headquarters in Melbourne. We have offices in Sydney and representation in Brisbane and New Zealand, and also an office in Singapore. So we're quite agnostic. So we're a communications platform. And what that means is that we're right across multiple industries. So you can see here on the board, we do work with a number of logistics companies today, be it airlines, land transportation. We work with airports, where the platform allows people to communicate messages, craft those in templates that are all pre-built, and then disseminate those across multiple channels of choice. So we work across whether it's operations teams, whether it's consumer communications, whether it's HR, whether it's finance. It's quite agnostic across your operations there.
Quite a big list of customers there, Corey, all the way from Chemist Warehouse to Toll to DB Schenker. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of those customers, I mean, you mentioned Chemist Warehouse as a scenario. That customer came to us in the middle of COVID, and what happened was we were able to turn a situation where they were losing their foot traffic from a retail perspective. So what we did is we created a prescriptions online workflow with them. We're able to build this out in a number of weeks. And then, so their click and collect scenarios were all Whispir generated templates. The prescriptions, because people still needed those prescriptions during COVID to pick up those medicals. So that was just one scenario where we're able to react and work with our customer and turn a situation in there where it actually they were able to sort of BAU and business as usual and continue to operate during a pretty difficult period.
Fantastic.
So without going too deep into the platform, that's not the idea of today in terms of a system demo, but we did want to give the audience here a brief understanding of what Whispir is. So as I mentioned, we have a GUI interface, so we have a web page, but everything is also an API driven. So once we're able to get information in, we have a number of pre-built templates that are straight out of the box. From inside these templates, you're able to manage distribution lists of different teams. You're able to generate reports once these actions have been completed. But essentially, it's a drop and drag template builder. And then, so information comes in, as I mentioned, it's API, so it can come in from a number of IoT devices, different sensors. It can come in from ServiceNow plugins. You can come in from telematics systems, warehouse management systems. It comes in, there is an action created inside Whispir, and then there is a delivery of that communication, and it can be on whatever channel, whether it's voice messages, talk bots, obviously SMS, email, social media. So there's a number of ways that Whispir can be operated. Rakesh, what we'll do is I'll just jump into a video here just to talk in a little bit more detail.
Transport logistics firms face two overarching challenges. One is maximising operational efficiency, utilisation of high-cost assets while reducing bottlenecks and idle time. The process of organising, coordinating and executing asset and goods movement across the business pulls resources from field operations, maintenance, IT and other supply chain partners. The second is adding value to the customer experience. Responsive, fast delivery, delivery time notifications and choice of pickup and delivery locations are all key to differentiation in this competitive, low-margin industry. Responding to customer expectations for parcel tracking, flexibility, and even same-day delivery requires detailed knowledge of both their needs as a business or end consumer and the capabilities of your current supply chain to deliver on these expectations. Increase flexibility and convenience for your customers by notifying them of deliveries ahead of time and offering them pickup options for time and location if they can't be home to receive their delivery. Not only does this boost customer satisfaction, it also allows you to spread out demand and avoid bottlenecks. Integrated communications also empowers your customers to submit feedback in the moment, giving you an instant view of their perceptions and interaction with your services. By planning deliveries and vehicle usage, the business can make sure the right resources are in the right place, matching needs across different areas. Even for disruptions outside of a firm's control, for example, a late-running passenger train holding up freight deliveries or a fogged-in airport causing flow-on delays in moving goods, awareness can be markedly increased and impact can be decreased through coordinated action, all facilitated through one central communications hub. Many business assets are constantly on the move in the transport and logistics sectors and are therefore exposed to higher risks and management difficulties in the event of an emergency. This makes incident management potentially more complex than for other industries. If an asset or delivery is compromised, stakeholders need to be informed as soon as possible. To maintain this fast alerting capability, the infrastructure supporting people and vehicles out in the field needs to be operational 24/7. And integrated software as a service communication solutions are independent of local IT infrastructure, meaning that alerts can still be sent out if business systems are down. Field vehicles and equipment, especially high-value assets, are often fitted with telematics systems to log their movements and condition. Combined with messaging from Whispir, telematics technology can have the same instant alert capabilities as an internal IT system. As soon as an asset malfunctions, goes outside predefined limits, or is involved in an accident, alert messages can be sent out with the precise location coordinates and incident details to crisis teams for quick response. If team members are unavailable or don't acknowledge the message, alerts can be automatically escalated to higher level personnel to ensure incident information reaches the right people at the right time for swift action. Integrated communications helps your business deliver better. To find out more, visit Whispir.com.
I think it definitely touched on all the right points about, especially coming from a supply chain background, industry and logistics. You got multiple stakeholders. Of course, there's a lot of incidents, and there's a lot of them are actually out of our control as well. Like we talk about weather forecasting, it could be an unfortunate incident on the rail track, or it could be an incident on the road transport, where we are trying to connect with multiple different stakeholders and still be able to try and deliver the better service we wanted to our customers. And definitely the WIO touches on all the right points where we still need all the real-time communication. We definitely want to deliver. Yes, we don't forecast any unforeseen circumstances, but that things do happen. And it's a great way of keeping the customer in the loop with the communication system side.
Yeah, I mean, you've raised some really good points there, is that communication to customer is not just one component, which is the post-delivery notification or follow-up feedback survey. It can be the pre-delivery alerts to confirm an address. It could be a delivery note to say that they've left the warehouse and expected during a particular time window. It could be communication where there is an incident. So we talked about there in some of those scenarios, giving them updates so they're not either waiting at a business or waiting at home. So if there are those telematics incidents that do happen, to make sure that there is a trigger to communicate, be it either back to the warehouse back to the operations team or to the end business or consumer. So yeah, communication is multiple steps, but that's like, yeah, the platform's powered up.
I can relate myself as an end consumer. Had some pretty terrible experiences over the last 6 months or 12 months where things get missing, and I don't want to be the consumer chasing companies where it's my product. And then on top of that, my frustrating is they send us feedback links. We need before even getting the product, because they got the scheduled feedbacks going through. Yeah, which wasn't great in a couple of instances, but I guess yeah, I've got to be a little bit patient given I'm in the logistics industry. So yeah,
absolutely, and it's also not just a one-way text message as well. I think that's also another little element of text messages. There's a lot of spam messages going on, the number of messages that I think we all receive. So calling out that in a text message, what the system is able to do is personalize and contextualize those messages. So it is a hi Rakesh, specific order information that can be extracted from the parent system that houses that information. So adding that context to say that we were due to turn up at your property between 10 and 2. So providing that information just to add authenticity is really important with the number of the messages that are out there. However, it is still a mode of communication, and it's not going away at all. The consumers love to use and read it in a very quick time zone. So if you have those text messages, but they have also other channels, so you can either have pre-alerts to go out on a phone call with a recorded message, or you can have it following up on an email. So those additional channels just add that authenticity to the messages. So
very true indeed. So let's get on to the use cases.
Yeah, so what we thought we'd do here is just talk through a couple of use cases. So we've just mocked up a bit of a demo here. We're able to mock this up a couple of days ago just and get it done nice and quick. So this is all out of the box templates from a drop and drag scenario. So what we've got to demonstrate is this is a post-delivery notification feedback survey. Now, feedback surveys are not new. However, what the idea of this feedback survey is to be able to then create a further action. And one of those is a negative delivery experience, and another one is a positive delivery experience. So a positive experience, you can use that as an opportunity to send a further message, be it either from the brand or the delivery company, with a coupon code to say, hey, thanks Rakesh for giving me the feedback. Here's a 10% discount, or whatever the additional action is. The alternative scenario, and I'll talk through these. So let me just hit play on this video. So you can see this coming through. So a text message, as I mentioned, it's personalized, it's contextual. You're able to upload a photo of the delivery that's gone through there. There's, again, contextual. There's the actual information of where it's been delivered, driver information. So this all can come via the API and the order information. So this one has a satisfied delivery note. And what it does is that once you're able to submit that survey as a consumer, I then get a follow-up text message to say, hey, great, thanks very much for the feedback, and here's a coupon code. So that one is a scenario of trying to have a positive experience. So Rakesh, as a brand owner, how important is it to you to be able to try and make sure that there is a positive experience in the delivery cycle from your partners?
Very important. And as we were talking before, there's 80% of a chance the customer will return through word of mouth if they had a really good experience with the brand itself. And again, the brand experience goes all the way from the engagement to the product itself, and also the service they received through a transport logistics provider actually receiving the product. So, and I think also that makes the connection a lot stronger as well between the product owner, companies, and also the end consumer as well, because that connection also takes into a long-term connection where you can, of course, cross-sell, upsell, but also at the same time, you can protect your consumer as well from any unforeseen events. It could be something that goes outside of your scope, like again, using multiple stakeholders to get the product to the end user. But again, as a manufacturer or as a brand owner, it's important for me to ensure my customers getting the best service possible, just because they made a choice or a decision to buy something from us. So super important.
Yeah, and we've, in some of the transportation companies that we interact with, the feedback has been that of these positive experiences, what it does do is it is able to give them data to be able to win new business. So if you're sitting there trying to pitch as a transporter and you're trying to win some new delivery volumes from a particular brand, you're able to sit there with that information to say that here is all our statistics on our delivery time on full. So you've got your statistics to say you're at 93% or whatever the good volume, the good stat is on your delivery service. But if you couple that with, here is our customer satisfaction rating based on the last 90 days of our driver feedback, and that's at an experience of, say, 95%. Once you're delivering, this is my service level, but this is my quality of delivery, that's going to pin you above that. So, I mean, Rakesh, if you had, and you're negotiating with a new transporter and they came to you with both sets of data, would that be something of interest to you?
No, most definitely. That's a very big tick, because DIFOT is important. Like, it will definitely play a major role. Like you mentioned, if it's 93 and above, happy days. Things are really going well. But again, you have what do you call these exceptions as well? So there is always that element of exceptions for sure, which is understandable. But I think adding customer satisfaction report in addition to the DIFOT, it will definitely give a very competitive advantage to the transport providers as well, because that's an extra level of feedback companies will be able to get in terms of how they performed through the end consumers as well directly. I think that definitely adds a lot of value for everyone involved. And again, in the process of improving this on a continuous basis, there's going to be a lot of things the transport provider can actually collaborate with the product manufacturing businesses and continue to improve on this service and use actually supply chain as a bit more of a strategic weapon to deliver better customer experience overall.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we've done the positive one. We've done all the roses. So let's jump into.
That's all. I don't want to talk about the negative stuff anymore. So
well,
we got to face it.
Yeah. So the reality is that things do go wrong,
Yeah.
and it's how you respond to that. So if we jump into this, so again, showing the message on the left-hand side where it's personalized, contextual, with relevant information. As you can see, I mean, it's just a demo there, but let's run this through. So again, text message comes through on the delivery. And let's say that there's been a package left in the wrong spot, or it's not marked. So just excuse the photo there. It's just a demo that we've got there. But let's say the driver was rude in dropping those off. So it gives that person who's had and you can see that the drop-down menu, once I hit I'm dissatisfied, there is a new option where I can specifically list out what's happened in that experience. What that does from an operations point of view is it then triggers another workflow that can go to an email inbox, let's say from the operations team, and they can receive that. So it's a templated experience where the ops team can say, okay, Corey Weeks, that's the name, the date it was received, and these are the two things that they've identified as the problems. So then the operations team can try and turn that negative experience into they've been able to react and then call that the person that's had that delivery and try and win that back. So, and the second point of this is that you're able to then generate a whole range of data to say that we're having a quality issue problem on a more consistent basis. Therefore, you have information so you know what you need to change and improve upon, and whether that requires more training to the drivers, whether it's an operation thing, whether it's a timing thing. Data is able to then help you improve those services. So, Rakesh, I mean, do you have any comments on this one, or it's all pretty straightforward?
No, it's definitely straightforward in terms of how this all works, but I think, definitely don't want to be in the position where we receive a lot of negative feedback, but I think it's important, and customers do value this quite a lot. And I did see some amazing companies who work in this direction as well, because yes, as an end consumer myself, I do understand that things doesn't go exactly as planned, but if customers believe that the company's taking enough measures and do quick feedback and ensure that they work on it, there's a lot more potential for consumers to come back to the brand, because they know that the companies are invested not just in selling the product, but actually looking after the relationship after it's bought after. So I think it definitely adds a lot of value, regardless if the experience is bad, but definitely there's a chance to improve on the service and and make it a whole pleasant experience, I guess, with the real-time information.
Yeah, there's two parts to it. One is being able to try and rectify it from an operations standpoint, but also giving the customer or the consumer an opportunity to voice what has happened. There is an additional workflow where, as you can see, this is an email to the ops team, but there's also can be SMSs and emails triggered with an additional template back to the consumer to say, hey, thank you for your feedback. It's really valuable. We'll have someone get in touch with you inside 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, whatever the SLA is. That can be all can be customized straight out of the box. So that's another way that it could work. I'll just share a quick story. I was chatting with a distribution company on behalf of a brand, and he was telling me that again, he was able to provide all the information around their delivery service, but he was also walking into their QBRs a little bit blind, because he didn't have any information on the customer satisfaction side of things. However, when he turns up with the brand owners, they do have the customer satisfaction, because typically it would either be a call going back to the brand. Is that something that you may have experienced, or something that's important to you going into these QBRs or these monthly?
Yes, monthly. I think monthly we do touch on these numbers every month with our service providers, but I guess given the complexity of how many stakeholders are involved and with all the infrastructures already in place, not many companies. I worked in a few different companies, and I've seen companies we all do have this as service already, and there's a lot of companies out there that might be thinking, this is another extra set of complex work to incorporate into our business, as much as they love the value of what this can provide back to the business itself. But unfortunately, it's not becoming common practice yet, but the language is getting more common these days. Because I've been into quite a few meetings where the QBRs or the monthly catch-ups we do with our service providers, we do have our traditional reports. But again, the customer feedback is getting even more important. And I'm sure you probably heard of Net Promoter Score, NPS, as well. And again, that's taking a lot more prime position in a lot of businesses. It's been spoken quite a lot in a lot of exec meetings as well. And how do we collect this? Promote, because that's how you differentiate with other brands. Because to be honest, there's a lot of products out there. They're all doing exactly the same thing. How do you differentiate your product? How do you differentiate your company? Is all about the connections and the service and the delivery, and how do you keep your end customer happy and meet their expectations. So definitely it's moving in that direction.
It's not an arduous task. Just to highlight quickly, we built these templates and these examples in about half an hour, 45 minutes, because they're an out of the box solution. So it doesn't need to be a big IT process to get these up and running for a lot of the people that are either watching this, or transports or brand companies. So that's just it's a technology that's very quick to implement.
That was actually one of my first questions about to ask you as well, because
Yeah,
I know the answer. The reason being, we worked on the SCLAA dinner event, and then Corey, I picked up my phone and I said, Corey, can you send a text message? You're like, no, we get it done. And I'm like, you stuck to your word. It's like, it's a 30-minute setup. And I was like getting anxious. Corey, when are you going to do it? He was like, still 30 minutes. And you actually delivered that in 30 minutes. So everything was set up, and all guests who attended that night got a text message around the venue and everything. So it was fantastic. So still the same question, so audience can also get an understanding. What is your speed to market? Because I've got experience working with you for supply chain dinner, which is obviously a different set, but in general, in logistic companies or a product company working with a lot of 3PLs want to implement such service, what is it? What does it look like with the current IT infrastructure in place?
Yeah, well, the beauty of being a cloud-based system is we're able to set up the system inside. If it's super quick, it can be a day or two, and then once we're able to get some enablement, a little bit of training done, as I mentioned, all these templates are in there. But we've got the best part of it. We've got a customer service team. We've got solution architects to help that. We've got an enablement team as well. So just being a mature company, 20 odd years, with hundreds of customers, from smaller businesses right through to customers such as Qantas and Department of Defence, Australian Government, healthcare. We can act pretty fast. I'll give you a scenario. It was only from last week. We're quite involved in a lot of the contact tracing that happened through COVID times. One of our reps received a call on Friday that there was a big cruise ship that was arriving in Western Australia, and they needed to know all of the people that were on the ship, their vaccination statuses, prior to them disembarking. So our team were able to work together, be able to craft up some templates, and they were able to message all of those people on the ship to then get that information back. So from a speed perspective, that can be a straight out of the box solution, or if it is more bespoke, in terms of you've got multiple systems, be it warehouse management systems, different delivery partners. That's where something can be customized out. So we work on both ends of the scale.
The story of cruise ships, embarking onto the border wasn't a great story 3 years ago. So I think that's a good way to use the system and be much more proactive, take a proactive step and control before it spreads. So that's awesome. Yeah, I think you sort of answered my second question too, because as you mentioned, logistics is not simple, it's complex, and you've got multiple stakeholders involved, and you've got multiple systems all integrated together as well. And I think, so how do you go about, like, maybe an example or one of your companies you're already working within the logistics space is how involved is to get this service up and running? If I'm a product owner, having multiple DCs around the country and having multiple 3PLs working with.
Yeah. So the way the system works is you're able to create what we call workspaces, which can be independent silos around the communication. So what we find is that there are always different teams in businesses that require different things. So it's not I've got the operations team, and the finance team is direct to customer, where the ops team is multiple parties. So we have the ability to create siloed instances inside the system. But in terms of how the system connects, all of our API documents are ready. We can share that with teams that companies that are slightly bigger that do have their own IT department. If you don't have that resource available, which is also really common, the interface itself, all the templates are pre-built. So it's really a drop drag. Anyone who's used PowerPoint or any sort of technology around editing, it's really quite straightforward. And we also have a team available to support that if there are templates that do need to be built. So it doesn't need to be a daunting process. It can be a very quick one, and we're here to support people through that. So just on the screen, you can see there is just a demonstration. This is one of our partners, being Telstra, and there's some pre-built templates. So feel free to open the text logistics to that phone number, and then you'll be able to just go through and see a bunch of templates that are just part of the system.
Amazing. So I think that sort of brings down to an end of our webinar. So overall, it's great to hear about Whispir automated, intelligent, extraordinary communication with the like-minded people to people. And having used it myself with the ASLA Awards dinner, it was fantastic, and I was quite impressed with the speed at which was implemented, and then it was all sent out in such a short notice. It was almost like 30 minutes. So quite an impressive platform. Having used it myself, it definitely demonstrated the value and the use cases, and hence we ended up connecting on this webinar too, because I do strongly believe there is a lot more value for logistic providers and product owners as well to benefit from such a real-time communication, which is smart, intelligent, into your phone or whatever mode of communication to get through. So thank you, Corey. It was great to hear more about Whispir. As Corey mentioned, please scan the QR code to connect with Corey or reach out to Whispir if you have any further questions to follow up on. Any closing comments, Corey? Or
No, just thank you for the opportunity to present to the audience across the association. It's been a great partnership, and would love to support anybody, any of the companies. So even if they're just random questions, please drop me an email. As Rakesh said, you can scan the QR and connect on LinkedIn. Happy to share some insights of how some best practices of some of our existing customers are utilizing their communication strategy. So we're happy to do a quick communication audit of your current processes and see if there's ways that we can help you improve. So yeah, thanks very much for tuning in. Look forward to talking to you when you connect.
all right, thank you. Thanks, Corey. As mentioned earlier, Supply Chain and Logistics Association of Australia, in short SCLAA. We do a lot more events like this, so stay tuned, connect with us on our social media platform as well, and you'll see a lot more of supply chain networking sessions coming together, and we'll keep you all posted on the social media channels. So stay tuned, take care, and have a great afternoon.